Hi, welcome to the Watch and Whisper channel. I'm G Butterfly, and today it is time to talk about love and marriage, Huntsville. Yes, the drama is already started. The couples went on a retreat. Melody goes to see Stormy, and there's a few other little things that happen. I'm going to tell you what I think about some of the things that happen. And I know everybody has been anticipating this new season. If not, I know I have. So we're going to talk about season 5, episode 1, where it starts off with just recapping. And if you know me, you know I took notes. So last season, they kind of just showed everything that was going on last season. But everyone knows that this was the finale, where we saw that something was getting ready to pop off at the Madonna grand opening for Destiny. And we saw that it was going to have something to do with Martell, Melody, Wanda. We knew all that was coming. Well, we didn't see that on the first episode, and I'm not surprised. I know they're probably going to hold that for a couple of episodes until we've had like 2 or 3 episodes in this new season. But everybody I know is anticipating that, because that's going to be a whole lot of mess and drama. You could tell somebody was fighting. Look like somebody got their toes stepped on. So we'll see how that's going to work out. Martell and Melody had a real awkward interaction when he took the kids to support her at the Omni Theater's grand opening, and she was one of the co-hosts. So they sat there, and he said that he was really proud of her with her accomplishments, and he wanted to bring the kids to support their mom, and he admitted that he really wanted to be there to see that accomplishment as well. Now, Mel gave Martell a real light hug and just said, thanks for bringing the kids. And what's her mom's name? Miss Van. And Miss Van even gave Martell a little light hug, and him and the kids went ahead and left. He said that he had some things to do, and he knew that Melanie needed to get back to her event. Then it pops over to Maurice and Kimmy, and they arrive to the couples therapy retreat with Dr. Francis and his wife, Marlo. And she was a very attractive lady, too. Maurice said that he was fixed and there's nothing wrong with his marriage. I say that right there lets you know there's something wrong with the marriage, because he feel like he's fixed. And Maurice is not fixed. But we'll see some of the things that he said in this episode, and also I'm sure he's going to say some more stuff during the rest of the season. Well, they were greeted by Dr. Francis and the wife, and they just made small talk. Well, Tiffany is back on her I want a baby crusade. When they arrived to the retreat, she said that she hoped that Dr. Francis could hypnotize Lewis into believing that he wanted a baby. Well, last season she kept hollering about a baby, and Lewis kept telling her, you don't even spend any time with me. How you gonna fit a baby into your busy schedule? And she just kept saying that she could do it, Lewis wasn't having it. And Marceau and Tisha are running late, and Kimmy called them, and Tisha said, well, we had an issue with the nanny. And then he said, oh, we're stuck in traffic. So it could have been one or the other, or both things at the same time, that kept them from being there on time. But you could tell that Dr. Francis wanted his event to start on time, which is understandable, because I'm sure he probably had things on a schedule so that they can get a lot accomplished by the time they left and went back home, what I'm assuming is on a Sunday afternoon. Excuse me. So Dr. Francis said that he is not a mechanic, and he's not trying to fix their marriages. He just wants to give them tools to use to navigate through marriage, on a day-to-day basis. Tiffany said she needed to take a business call, and Dr. Francis' wife's face was like, his wife was just looking like, really? She hopped up, took her phone. I think she had a laptop on her lap or something like that, or a bag or something, and she got up and left. So Maurice kept harping on the fact that Dr. Francis has fixed him. I said, what him saying that, is he trying to convince himself? It's possible he's trying to convince himself when he kept saying, Dr. Francis, I'm fixed. I said, Maurice, shut up. Dr. Francis said, when you commit to something, you need to commit and actually do whatever it is that you say you're going to do. And he said that you cannot be in 2 places at the same time. And he told Lewis that Tiffany isn't showing a commitment to the weekend retreat. And Lewis goes to the room to let her know that she would need to commit to the retreat. And her response was, are the other Scots here? And he said no. She was like, okay then. Basically, she's saying, well, they're not here, so why I gotta rush? I want to say, well, damn, Tiffany, you're not there to have a retreat on your marriage with the Scotts. You are there to have a retreat with your husband. And that's exactly what Dr. Francis said later on in the episode. But we'll get to that. Marceau comforted Tisha, who had just lost her friend. So I think someone called her while they were en route to the retreat to tell her that one of her close friends, I think, had passed away. due to, I think it was an accident, I'm not certain, but you could tell that she was visibly upset. But was it just me, or when Marceau was calling himself consoling her, he looked like he was very awkward and was not used to doing that? And I could be wrong, but that's just what it looked like to me. Marceau didn't look like he was used to comforting her. That was strange to me. But anyway, you know, prayers to to Letitia's friend's family. So Martell picks up his mom on the way to pick up his kids. And I really like Martell's mom because she seems to be real. And unlike reality TV people who seem to be always putting on for the camera, his mom never came across like that to me. So I like to watch Martell and his mom's interaction when they're together. So it was the last day of school, so he told his mom, come on with me while I pick up the kids. And you could tell like she was genuinely excited. And when the kids got in the car, you could tell she was excited to see her grandbabies because Martell is her only child. Martell's shorts was kind of tight too. I'm like, what is it with Martell and his clothes? Because when he was driving, you know, they showed him sitting in the car and you could see that the shirt was tight like this around his arm also. I said, why doesn't Martell get him some tailored shorts and shirts so that they'll fit and he don't look like he's always super tight? So Martell's mom said that she wishes Melody well and will always care about her because she's the mother of her grandkids. And I said, you know what, that's pretty much what decent people say, you know, are mature people say when their children no longer are with their wife or a significant other or whatever, or husband or significant other, whatever the situation may be. It's really important that parents step back out of the situation and know, hey, I'm gonna respect you. I can love you from afar and understand that it didn't work out, but you're still the parent to my grandchild and you'll still have a place in my heart and in our family because of that. Dr. Francis told Lewis, Tiffany left you to go take care of a business call and you said absolutely nothing. And so Lewis said Tiffany is his wife and he was going to always protect her. Tiffany looked like she wanted to cuss Dr. Francis out when he was saying that. But what he was trying to get Lewis to see is you never say anything. You're always in protector mode. Now, what Dr. Francis said, I was already thinking. It's like Lewis won't say anything out of fear that she gonna pop off or say something crazy. Or maybe break up with him. Who knows what he's thinking. But I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, damn, Lewis don't really say anything. And Tiffany's face be looking like, and I wish you would say something. She just sat there with an old silly look on her face. And was just waiting on the other couples to, you know, join in on a conversation. Tiffany told Dr. Francis that work was a priority. And I knew when she said that, Dr. Francis was going to have something to say. Saying that work was taking priority over what she actually went to the couples retreat for to handle or to try to work on with Lewis. And Lewis be sitting there looking like he just lost in the sauce. That's how he looks. And she said it was a 30 minutes call that she could not move off of her calendar. So Dr. Francis said, you know what? You're going to schedule yourself right into a divorce. I say Dr. Francis know that he be shooting straight from the hip. He don't be trying to sugarcoat nothing. And that's a good thing. So I thought that was, I said, come on, Dr. Francis. Dr. Francis told her that they are content not to change. And so he said that they're in unison, making a priority over her husband. That they're both in agreement with that. Interesting. And she came across very defensive. And as the show progressed, Lewis was very defensive too. And I'm like, why are they so defensive when anybody say anything? And they always got a mouthful of shit that they want to say to other people. So I guess during the season, we're going to see why this going to work. I mean, how this going to pan out with those two. Dr. Francis told them that as a couple, they're only as strong as the last successful challenge. And I'm like, you know what? That can be applied in a lot of different things. I said, you know what? I might take that to work for some of my managers. So we probably can build some stuff around that. You're only as strong as your last successful challenge. I said, okay. So they played a game. And each couple had to put a rope around their ankles. And then they had to walk in unison for 15 minutes. And Kim was like, 15 minutes? And he was like, yeah. He was saying this is going to actually show who's the leader and who always has to be the leader. So Marceau and Tisha from the very beginning were always in sync when it came to walking. They even got to the point where they made a game out of it and they jogged together. And I was really glad to see that with Marceau and Tisha, that they were really in sync with how they were doing things together. I said, you know, that speaks volumes. Maurice and Kimmy. I knew it when Dr. Francis say, put that rope on and we gonna see how you lead. I knew right then. I say, him and Kimmy not gonna be in sync. He's gonna try to lead and do everything and leave her behind, because that's how he comes across in every single scene when he's with Kimmy. I think he may have love for Kimmy, but when it comes to them being in a relationship, I have said all along, I don't think he fully values what Kimmy can bring to the table. He doesn't value her opinion. And sometimes she sit back and just look at him. And in my mind, I'm saying, Kimmy thinking, what the fuck did I get myself into with this man? Because he comes across like that with Kimmy. And I hate that, because I really like Kimmy. She was telling Maurice, you're holding me too tight. You're holding me too tight. And they could never get in sync at all. No matter what they did, they could not get in sync. And they really struggled. So Tiffany said that she didn't like it. And she continued to ask Lewis, can you just pick me up? And he did. I say, there it is. Because in their relationship, you can tell. Kimmy don't really want to do, not Kimmy, I'm sorry, Tiffany really doesn't want to do anything. And I get the picture that she wants Lewis to do everything for her. I've always thought that. And this exercise was like, boom, there it is. And he actually picked her up. And Dr. Francis picked up on that. And he mentioned it to them later on when they were at the dinner table. Now, Mel goes to visit Stormy. And Stormy's at her house, and she's sitting in a room she calls her Zen rooms. And she has her sound bowls. And the room looked very relaxing and tranquil. I was like, that's a nice looking room. Well, they sit down and they just talk about what the bowls mean. And they discuss Martell and that he came to the event to support Mel and bring the kids. And Stormy was like, oh, I think that's good. So she asked her, Stormy asked Melody, what is your relationship with Martell's mom? And Melody pretty much said, there's always collateral damage in some type of event, and the relationship she had with Martell's mom is the collateral damage of the divorce between she and Martell. And she said she get it. She understand that that's her son, that they're no longer married. She pretty much respects her. She says she actually missed the relationship because they had a very good relationship, but it comes to a point where you sometimes have to leave people behind, and she chose to leave her ex-mother-in-law behind. So the couples prepared for dinner. Marceau was a little perturbed about the retreat because he said he didn't realize he was going to have to go to couples therapy for a weekend. Because when Tisha told him about the event, she just said, we're going to go on a couples outing for the weekend with Maurice and Kimmy and the Whitlows. And he was like, okay, he'll give it a try. Unbeknownst to him that it was going to be a couples therapy session, and he just wasn't really feeling that. But Maurice said they didn't move freely when because Kimmy was trying to lead. He said he said things might move better when he led. If he was to lead, things would move a lot smoother. And her face spoke volumes, because her face, like I said earlier, her face was looking at him like, here it is again. You're just not taking what I'm saying into consideration. And she said, I'm not saying you were holding me too tight. Because his thing was, well, I was holding you too tight, so I just let you go. She said, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You didn't have to let me go. Just loosen up a little bit. Loosen up a little bit. I didn't ask you not to hold me. She said you were just holding me too tight that we could not move. He said, well, that's why I just let you go. I'm like, Maurice can be such an asshole. And I used to think Marceau was the asshole. So the couples come down to dinner. Tiffany says that she wants another baby, but wants Lewis to be on board. She tells Dr. Francis that her adoptive parents had a drug addiction, that both of them had a drug addiction. So Dr. Francis says that she had 3 major losses in her life. Number 1, her birth parents who gave her up for adoption. Number 2, the parents that she had kind of abandoned her when they got on drugs. And number 3, she's gone through a personal divorce. So Dr. Francis said those 3 things that you're dealing with is affecting your current marriage. Tiffany admitted to having issues with abandonment. Marceau brought up time and how would she factor in a baby if she already doesn't have any time. And she said, well, I thrive in chaos. So Marceau said, so you want to bring a baby into chaos? And she just looked at him like she always does, like everybody gets on her nerve. And Lewis kept saying, well, life happens, life happens. So Dr. Francis said, do you read philosophy books? And he said, yeah, a lot of them. He said, I can tell. So Lewis said that he reads many of the books. And Tiffany looks at, and he says, and he's the teacher in their marriage. So Tiffany looked at him like he was crazy, like, teaching who? Me? No. That's how Tiffany looked at him. So Dr. Francis said that Lewis gives philosophical answers as not to personalize his true feelings and experience, and not to experience any pain. And he got real defensive. And Kimmy was saying that Lewis and Tiffany both are like that, that it gets so defensive they will not open up to receive anything that anybody's trying to tell them, but they're also quick to want to tell everybody else how to run their situations. So again, they got defensive about that. So Dr. Francis said everything isn't 100% with them as they try to make it appear. And Dr. Francis ultimately said your marriage is fake. And I think he's trying to say y'all are covering up something. And he did tell him, he said, you know what, y'all playing games. And it kind of shut down right there. I said, all right. I said, I can't wait for next week to see what else Dr. Francis have for them. Well, this G Butterfly, and that was my take on what was going on with Love and Marriage Huntsville. But I'm sure the rest of the season is going to give us pretty much what we've been waiting for. Well, get in the comments and tell me what you think about this episode. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back, and please continue to leave comments. Please hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I make a video. And thank you, and share my videos out, like my videos. And I'll talk to y'all later.